Okay. All right. Hi, guys. We're back again. I'm Felisa Woods with V Woods Media, and I am with Julia DeFig. She is an educator outside of the U.S., and I have her here so she could talk to you a little bit about where she's teaching now and the process about that, and then just day-to-day life. And then whatever else that will come up, we'll discuss. So, Mr. Figueroa, did I say it right?
Figueredo.
Rado. Yes, welcome, Mr. Fig.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now.
So I am a teacher in Monterrey, Mexico. I'm in my second year of teaching here. This is my second time teaching abroad. I taught abroad previously in Taiwan as well.
How long were you in Taiwan? I don't want to get away from Mexico, but let's talk about Taiwan a little bit.
I was in Taiwan for about a year and a half.
Okay. And you were also teaching?
Yeah, I was teaching there as well.
Okay. How was that experience? Just a little bit about Taiwan. Because I know people, like the purpose of this recording, people are looking at leaving the U.S. And Taiwan is one of those places as well as Mexico. But tell me about it. And this was how long ago?
I was there from August 2018 until March 2020 when,
Right.
Yeah, I really love living in Taiwan. It's a beautiful country. People are really nice. I will say definitely it's so, and just like Asia in general is just so culturally different from the US. It definitely, the first 6 months were very, very hard in terms of just settling in, getting adjusted to living there. But yeah, it's a fantastic place to live. The public transportation is great. The food is great. It's really safe. People are really nice and friendly, always willing to help. Yeah, I love living there. It's a great place to live. Yeah.
So you say it took you about 6 months to kind of get set, and settle in.
I would say the first 6 months were really hard. After that, it started getting easier, but just to I feel like it took a year to really feel settled in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, let me go ahead and experience living abroad again in Monterrey, Mexico. And so was the process kind of similar to the process in Taiwan as far as teaching?
As far as what?
As far as teaching?
As far as teaching goes, are you talking about about my job, or are you talking about me?
Yeah, the job.
Yeah, the job is pretty similar. In Taiwan, I was teaching at a bilingual school, and I was teaching ELA and English as a second language. Here I'm a homeroom teacher, so it's similar but different because in Taiwan I had a lot more students. Here I just have one class and I teach a lot more subjects.
Okay, so what all do you teach besides ELA?
So I teach ELA, math, science.
Okay. So a typical elementary classroom in the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah, exactly.
Okay. And how many students? Because I'm pretty sure that's not the same. How many students do you have now?
I have 21.
Okay, well, that is kind of the same. But all right.
Well, I guess it depends. I know a lot of schools in Oakland have a lot more for upper elementary. It's a limit of 30 or something crazy. But yeah, I have 21.
Okay. Do you see a difference between the students in Mexico and the students in the U.S.? Do you see a difference? Are they about the same? What would you say?
I would say they're pretty similar. I mean, kids are kids everywhere.
Right.
I'm teaching a much different population here than I was when I taught in Oakland, right? Definitely a population with it's a private school, right? So it's students with, more privilege. But I will say, kids are kids everywhere. They all like to run, play, have fun, chat. Definitely have a lot of very chatty kids. I think that's actually a big thing is definitely the chattiness here versus the United States was kind of surprising to me. But other than that, the culture is pretty similar.
Okay. So let's talk about the process to you getting this job in Monterrey, Mexico at this private school. What was that process like when before you left? Because we knew each other in the capacity we worked in the same school. And then it was pretty much like, oh, the fig is leaving and going to Mexico. It's teaching in Mexico. So I mean, what was the process of that?
So for international teaching, there's a bunch of different recruiting platforms. And on those platforms, different schools post jobs. And the jobs are typically from pretty much anywhere in the world. I was applying, so I used a recruiting platform to find the job that I have now. I applied and interviewed with schools in a lot of different places.
Okay.
Some in Europe, some in Asia, some in South
Oh,
America.
so you weren't really set on Mexico. It was pretty much
No.
like where, whichever one that sounds good, looks good, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I applied
Okay.
to several in different places and was just really looking for something that like felt like a good fit in terms of like location, school culture. The reason I applied to the school in Monterrey, part of it was because there is a pretty big like rock climbing community here. And so I definitely wanted to make sure like wherever I'm a pretty big rock climber, and I want to make sure wherever I moved to like had that culture there, because that's like how I like tend to like build community and make friends.
Right. Because everything is not about your job.
Yeah, no, we hope.
No, everything. I do want to have a question because we are degreed, we have degrees, and someone who doesn't have a degree and they wanted to, maybe is there like a place for them in this school, or do you find like other people may do other things besides teaching
This is
that
a
are
really
coming
good
from the
question.
US?
So most of my friends here I either work with, so they're teachers,
Mm-hmm.
or they're locals. In terms of people who are also foreigners, I've met somebody who works at like a call center here.
Okay.
I've also met there's a few universities in the city as well, so people who work at the universities as well.
Mm.
Um, but
That's
and
about it.
yeah, and a few people who work remotely. But in
Okay.
general, most of the people that I know obviously are teachers just by because that's my career. It definitely exists, but it's definitely like more if you're not like in academia, either as a teacher or a professor, I think it's a lot more difficult. But I don't know the details there.
Right. So I did end up because when I leave from Veracruz and going back to Oakland and flying into Oakland, it's a layover in Monterrey. So I've been to Monterrey a couple of times, just for a layover. But what I did realize about Monterrey is like this is big business. You see a lot of factories, you see a lot of industries, and one thing you had said about a call center. On my last flight, I was on the same row with a older lady who basically she lives in Oakland, but their company that she works for is in Monterrey, and so she flies a couple times a month or something like that to Monterrey. And so I was like, okay, and I know she didn't speak Spanish. So I was kind of like, okay. So maybe perhaps they may have gotten on here and then just took a position in Monterey. Okay. So the process you talked about, you were on an international jobs platform and you applied and hired you. But it comes with perks. Some of the benefits of being a foreigner and teaching in another country is, can you tell us a little bit about what some of the things that are provided?
Yeah, so it depends on the school. My school here and my school in Taiwan both provided like a housing stipend, so they helped. They help with rent. And my school in Taiwan didn't help me find an apartment. But my school here helped me like find a place to live. And they helped like furnish it.
Oh, okay.
And they also help with like the visa process and helping you like get here as well. And they also pay for they like partially or fully reimburse you for your flights as well.
Okay. Okay. I
Mhm.
didn't know that piece.
Mhm.
So, so my question would be, it's on the tip of my tongue. So we talked about, they're paying for some different things. Okay. So would you encourage someone to like go that route if they want to live outside the country?
I think it really depends on like what you're looking for.
Mhm.
I think like there are definitely a lot of really good things about international teaching, but like a lot of challenges, like as well, my working hours here are longer than what my working
Mm.
hours were working in Oakland. So that's like something to consider,
Mhm.
but there's like more support in other ways. So
Okay.
yeah, and the cost of living in Monterrey specifically is like pretty high.
Mhm.
It's a lot.
Mhm.
It's like the most expensive cities in all of Mexico. So the pay versus cost of living isn't really that much better than what I was like paying and making living and teaching in Oakland. So
Mhm.
that's definitely something to consider. And I think it really like if you really, really, really want to leave the US and that's like your goal, teaching
Mhm.
abroad is like one option. But also like working remotely is a really good option for people as well, because a lot of countries, and I think Mexico does, I don't know if Mexico has like a no like a digital nomad visa, but I know a lot of places do
Have
have.
it. Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. Is your school, do you see a lot of your school and the other schools that want Americans to come and teach?
Yeah, so there's my school and there's also other international schools
Mhm.
in Monterrey and also just around the world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not all of them are like specifically wanting Americans, but some of them are, looking for like Canadians,
Okay.
people who are like, I have a couple of colleagues from the UK.
Mhm.
So yeah, there are definitely a lot of schools around the world that are looking for like qualified teachers
Mhm.
who I think the biggest thing for a lot of the schools is that the teachers are like qualified and also like fluent in English.
Right, right. Okay.
And
Right.
at the more like reputable international schools, they're not gonna like ask that you speak English as like a first language, just
Mhm.
so long as you're like fluent in it.
Fluent in English. Right. Okay. So I kind of a little piece of it. I want to talk to you about, the recent election, and people are, like we discussed, are wanting to leave. Do you kind of think there would be some issue with Mexico and like Americans coming down to live? Do you see that as being an issue?
That's a really good question. It's not something that I would anticipate being an issue.
Mhm.
I think it really depends. Like for me, like getting the visa, like for me, my visa is sponsored by the school.
Right.
So I think the big thing is having somebody to sponsor your visa.
Hmm.
I'm just thinking like I don't know a lot of the details about like Mexico and US relations when Trump was president the first time. I don't,
Hmm.
as far as I
I
know,
don't think it was any issue either.
yeah, I don't think anything really changed. So I wouldn't anticipate things changing